Thank you, Julie. Well, welcome everyone to this seminar on the smarter way to manage tower inspections. So a few words about who I am and what I do. So my name's Steve Booker. I am the Group Managing Director of Kentech Training and the Kentech Group. I'm also currently the Chair of the PASMA Training Committee. I'm the Chair of the Ladder Association Training Committee, Vice Chair of IPATH Training Committee, and also the Deputy Chair of PASMA itself. So as such, I am involved a lot in the format of training for an awful lot of work at height machinery, if you like, whether it be ladders, towers or MUPs. But this talk today is around the smarter way to manage tower inspections with the new PASMA Towersure system. So that's what I'd like to spend the next few minutes introducing to you, if I may. So on with the presentation. So the smarter way to manage tower inspections. First of all, thank you to the IIRSM for providing me the opportunity to present to you and also introduce PASMA's new Towersure, which is a brand new system for managing tower inspections. We believe that Towersure is a game changer for tower safety across all sites and projects. But first of all, a little bit about PASMA and what we do with regards to tower safety. So, from manufacturers to rental companies, trainers to users, at PASMA our members serve or represent all aspects of the access sector. Our operating procedures help companies work safely at height using towers whilst helping to reduce or eliminate human error. We lead in setting both British and international standards and setting the standards for good practice on access towers and low-level work platforms. The PASMA card is universally recognised by government and industry alike, and we work with government agencies, regulators, major users and other key stakeholders to encourage and promote tower safety. Our guidance is trusted worldwide with representation in Europe, Middle East, Asia, South Africa and of course the UK. Mobile towers are versatile, easy to transport, simple to assemble and can be used in multiple configurations without any specialist tools or equipment. Towers also provide greater Scope 3 environmental benefits over other forms of access. This is due to the compact nature of component storage, transportation required, and the lightweight requiring smaller vehicles to deliver and collect. The carbon footprint is a very, very dear thing to PASMA's as an organisation. We're doing everything we can to reduce and where possible balance our carbon footprint. We're doing this in the way in which we plan to digitise a lot of our presentations and the way in which we reduce paper input and use. So, towers. A tower is only safe to use if it's been assembled correctly. I think we all realise that a badly assembled tower is potentially dangerous. So, the only way to be sure it's assembled correctly is to follow the manufacturer's current instruction manual when you build it. However, the first step before we build the tower is to ensure the correct tower has been selected. Taking into consideration the height, width, platform length, loading, these things are all important to make sure the right tower is there for the people to work on. This must be balanced, of course, with the operator's competence, ability and training. There are nearly 250 registered PASMA training providers who can offer a range of PASMA training courses to ensure competence in the selection, assembly, inspection, movement, alteration, dismantling, use, and the maintenance of mobile access towers, as well as an understanding of the manufacturer's instructions, standards, and general good practice in the safe use of mobile towers. The pre-use inspection of each component is an important part of the pre-assembly process. Again, ensuring all components are complete, undamaged, compatible, and operating correctly. A tower is only safe to use if it has been assembled correctly, as we've said before. If it hasn't been assembled correctly, it could topple over or collapse. That's why before we start working from a tower, it's important to inspect it, to double check that everything is okay. It makes you stop, take a step back and double check that everything looks okay before anyone starts working from the tower itself. I think we'd all agree it makes sense to regularly check our kit, especially when you're using it to work at height, as failure can be catastrophic. But there are times when our statutory duties mean we must inspect a tower and keep records of that inspection. So towers must be inspected after assembly, but before first use. Also, inspect and keep a record of any alterations that are significant. A significant change in height or size or structure should require either a new inspection, or it may even be a new tower. Or after an event that might have affected its stability or structural integrity, such as high winds, storms, or unauthorized amendment or use. If none of these have occurred, you need to inspect and keep a record of that inspection at least every 7 days. These are the minimum requirements. The reality is you need to inspect your tower as often as necessary to make sure it's safe to use. And it might mean that you decide, if you're using a tower outdoors in winter or in a high-risk environment, to inspect it more often than 7 days. We're often asked if you need to inspect a tower every time it's moved around the same location. The simple answer to that is no, not unless you've had to significantly alter it or move it, and something's happened that made you thought the structure or the safety of the tower has been brought into question. If you need to build and inspect other configurations of towers, such as cantilever towers or link towers, or even low-level access products such as podiums, there are separate dedicated courses for these, where this competence in this particular range of equipment can be gained. Managers and supervisors can learn to inspect any standard configuration tower on a PASMA Tower for Managers course. This course is aimed at anyone who manages work at height activities of other tower users, but isn't assembling towers themselves. It doesn't matter if a tower is inspected by the same person who assembled it or by someone else. The key thing is that you've been trained on how to complete an inspection correctly and record the findings. You can get more information about all of the PASMA training courses on the PASMA website at pasma.co.uk/training. So, a simple question now is, how are towers currently inspected? Well, the normal process would be someone who's competent, who in most cases now would be seen to have been a PASMA trained operative, assembles their tower, checking all the components are undamaged and fit together correctly. And then they inspect the tower structure, recording this inspection by labeling, or often called tagging, the tower as it's safe to being used. Now, there have been several issues around this in the way in which these tags are completed and signed off. So these might include what components were actually checked. The parts of the tower that are critical to the safety of the structure need to be inspected correctly. And I've often had this when I've questioned operatives and asked for their internal inspection checklist, and quite often they just look back at the tower and go, well, it looks all right, it's upright. One of the things we need to realize is checking the components one by one, making sure they're functioning, they're fitted correctly and operating correctly is vital to the tower's stability. Another issue, who signed the inspection off? I mean, I've often seen inspection tags or labels signed off in thick felt pen where you can't read the name, or as one person said, Mickey Mouse doesn't really work here, but I don't want to take responsibility if it goes over. So they must be signed off correctly and must be legible. The other, and probably one of the most important things that I've often talked to managers about, how do you see the documented evidence of that inspection? Now, if we've got, for instance, a tower label, it's a small piece of plastic, some 8 inches long by 3 inches wide. It's cable tied, wire wound onto a tower, and it stays on there while the tower's up. But afterwards, does it really get back to the office? Does it really come through as what you would like to stand up as a legal document? So bear in mind, if there was to be an incident around the use of a tower where someone had an accident, would you be confident in producing the records you currently get? And would they stand up to the scrutiny in a court of law? I mean, you can imagine there with someone, accusing you of not completing accurate inspections of a tower, thus that was the reason the tower went over, possibly injuring or worse, killing the operatives. You'd stand there with a piece of 8-inch by 3-inch plastic going, I can't make out the name, or I can't tell you what they inspected, but what I can tell you is they signed it off on the date. I wouldn't really be happy doing that myself, and I'm sure many of you wouldn't. So this comes to the question of how can we remedy this problem? So what is Towersure? Now, we have been at PASMA a long time working on this. It has been a major breakthrough, we feel. I know it's quite bold to suggest that Towersure is a game changer for tower safety, but we truly believe that it will bring tower safety to the forefront and make it easier for you to achieve the goals that you want to achieve, which is the inspections are carried out consistently, correctly, and most importantly, the evidence is there and easily gained through a digital medium. So how can we achieve this? Towersure guides operatives through tower inspections. This means the managers can be sure that the tower inspections are thorough and done in a consistent way, using PASMA's approved methods every single time. They are built-in competence checks, so managers can be sure operatives and subcontractors have been trained on the towers they're building and inspecting. That's right, I said subcontractors. So with this system, there is the ability to not only control the tower builds of your own staff, but also to link your subcontractors to it. So when they're building towers on your behalf, they would have to use this system and you would have full visibility to every inspection they carried out on your sites. The records themselves are stored electronically in one place for the whole organisation so that you can be sure they're available in a searchable, printable format whenever requested, and that they can be shared instantly with others on site. Towersure provides you visibility on all towers, on all sites and all projects under your control without your managers ever leaving the office. So you can be sure that every tower under their control is built correctly. Towersure is a smarter way to inspect and record towers. It covers the whole inspection process and ultimately is going to make tower use safer. A bold claim, you may say, but we really do believe this is going to be the game changer, as we've said. So the system itself, it has two elements. The first is a simple to use mobile app. This is the one the operators can use on site. And I know some people will say, well, they're not allowed to have phones on site. Well, the phone as a tool of recording now is becoming more and more embedded within our everyday life. Now, as a distraction, it can be a safety issue and that has to be managed, of course, but as a tool for recording site inspections, for location, for many, lone workers, all this kind of stuff, it's really starting to become its own. So a mobile app available there. And then that's followed up with a powerful web-based console for the management. So hopefully you can start to see the relation between the app and the console. The operatives on site will do their inspections, and when they click that that tower is inspected, it will appear on the portal for you to see. And you can control that from that portal. So the system depends on a mobile app your tower operatives install on their phones. By tower operatives, obviously we mean anyone who's out there on site inspecting or using towers. They do need a phone for this to work, but they do not always need a Wi-Fi or mobile signal, as the system itself, the app, will record the inspection, and as soon as the phone is in a signal or Wi-Fi area, it will then transmit that to the console. The app is simple to install, it's easy to use, and it's going to change the way in which we inspect and use towers. You'll be aware that there are lots of things you need to check to make sure a tower is safe to use. Now, it could be from the casters on the ground to the guardrails at the top and everything in between. Today, operatives are probably relying on their memory. Now, if it's anything like mine, how easy would it be to miss something crucial? Now, when these operatives attend a standard PASMA tower for users course, for instance, they're given an opportunity to inspect the tower before the instructor inspects it. Now, as someone who runs quite a few of these courses myself and have written them, quite often 4 guys will be sitting there and they will say they've checked the tower. Then I'll look at it and I'll find things that they weren't looking for, or things that, again, quite critical, but they'll have missed them. So without a checklist, I really would question whether someone who's been on a course in that short space, 1-day course, whether they could go out and remember every single component that needs inspecting and how it needs inspecting without some form of checklist. Now, in the days before tagging, we used to have reports that actually told you what to check and when. Now we've gone more towards this tagging or labeling system. It relies on the operative remembering what to check. So how can we get around this problem? Well, the PASMA inspection app includes a step-by-step checklist in the form of questions. It's complete with images telling them what to check, where it will be, and instructions on how to check it. In addition to that, it records the tower type, the platform height, and whether it is assembled indoors or outdoors. This is all verified with a photograph taken on the mobile phone's own camera and not from the photo library. We emphasize that because it means that you can only gain access to load a photograph onto the app if it goes through the camera's actual camera, or the phone's camera itself. You cannot load it from a memory. So you can load several photographs, or you can load just one photograph. But the point is this records not only the fact they've been through a detailed check of what they've checked, and they've had to tick across all the way through to say that they've checked every component that's required, and the checklist will change depending on the type of tower that they've indicated they're building. So there is a difference in the checklist between, say, a standard tower and a tower on stairs, or a link tower. So the checklist has been customized to the type of tower. So we know that it's been built correctly because they would have had to go through every component and check it and physically green tick, if you like, that they've done that. Then the photograph that's added to the reinspection afterwards then gives you evidence that that tower has been built, and you've got a photograph for which you can look at. So it's a way of ensuring that every inspection on site is consistent, it's thorough, and it's completed just as it would be on their PASMA training course. So a question for you all, not that I expect an answer back right now, but how do you know if the user is competent to build or inspect a tower? Well, the app goes that bit further in as much as we've added the operative's PASMA card to Towersure. So the app is linked to PASMA's own training record database. It requires that every person that uses the app, they have to sign in, put in their certificate number, and it brings forward their qualifications from PASMA, which are included within each inspection record to say that the person that inspected and assembled this tower was this person, this certificate number. So it won't stop anyone using the app, but it would flash up a warning if someone completed an inspection who did not have the required competencies and qualifications to build that particular type or size of tower. So again, it's another way that back on the console, back in the office, you can see that, you know, John, who's only done a tower for users course, has just built a tower on stairs. He's inspected it. He's completed a inspection on the app, said everything's fine, but it'll flash up saying John's only qualified to build standard towers. He's not qualified to build a tower on stairs, which then enables you via the app to switch that to not to be used. So there's a good chance your phone is by your side or in your pocket right now. So we rarely leave home these days without it, and there's an electronic card on your phone. It's as easy to lose if it's not in your wallet or something. So again, the electronic cards on your phone far more chance of people remembering to bring it with them. And again, if a customer or anyone was to question whether someone's competent, like you do with many apps on your phones now, you can actually send a picture or a record of your training to them directly for their own competency checks. So we've enabled also on the app competency recording, meaning that every activity undertaken in Towersure is logged against the individual's training record. So the more frequently that an operator inspects towers and builds them, the larger that record will come, which will again help to prove competency. Quite often, again, we find people that they're put on a tower course for a pending job, and that job will get cancelled, and it's a 5-year certificate, but it could be 4 years and they don't build a tower. That would show up on their records as well. So again, it's something you can interrogate, it's something your clients can interrogate if they wanted to, and it will have all sorts of possibilities in the future for how we verify and reassess competence. So one of the smart features of this system is the simple method for checking towers and recording those inspections. There's no extra step for completing an inspection record, it's built into the process. Whereas today your operative would finish the visual inspection, then write the details down in a book or on an inspection record or label or tag, with the PASMA inspection app, the details are automatically recorded as they go, and it includes at least one photograph of the inspected tower. This saves time and effort, builds in consistency, is more environmentally friendly, and means you have the confidence the inspection was completed, recorded, and most importantly, stored securely. Remember the requirements for storing inspection records. They must be stored for 3 months, so it's reassuring to know that your records can't get lost, damaged, or even forgotten all about. So writing the details down of an inspection isn't just about having a record that you can be filed away electronically or even manually. Inspection records need to be kept on site while work is undergoing. So are commonly displayed on the base of the tower. This means everyone can see it, safe to use. So we're not suggesting getting rid of the physical inspection record or tag altogether, but we are going to make them smarter. The Towersure label is a similar size and shape to the current PASMA inspection record or other tagging systems that are out there. They're intended still to be displayed at the base of the tower. The clever thing about the Towersure label is that they have a unique QR code on them, which anyone can scan with their phone to check the tower's inspection status. Now, Towersure will work whether it's a main contractor, a client, an inspector, or someone just passing by. They don't even need to have the Towersure app on their phone to do it. Now, you don't need to use Towersure labels for the app to work. They just make things easier. So we're not removing the tagging or labeling of a tower. What we're enabling is the inspection to be carried out via a standardized checklist that's focused upon the tower type, involving photographs, the ability to record all that, and the ability to link that inspection to a tag that's on the tower. And anyone that passes by, as I've just said, if they scan the QR code with their normal camera on their phone, it will bring forward a status report from the PASMA website stating when this tower was inspected, who was inspected by, and that it's currently in date and safe to use. So that will satisfy any customers, inspectors that may want to know the status of that tower's safety. But it means you have the record electronically as well. So if there's no QR code, you can view the inspection record through the Near Me list on the actual app itself. So where you can see a list of all the towers you have access to, ordered by nearest to furthest from your location. It's not just my own towers I can see though. I can see all the towers that I have assembled by workers on my shared projects. So when you set the portal up, you'll set up a project, you'll set up the sites, and then each user is able to then identify the project and the site they're on and then carry out an inspection on a tower which will be linked to that project and that site. So as a manager, you will be able to look at the ones that you have got access to look at via project or site, and you can limit access to these by whoever's using the app or the actual portal itself. So far, we've talked about checking or viewing towers that you have the Towersure app installed for. So what happens if you don't have the Towersure app though? What if your main contractor who wants to check if a tower has been inspected but you don't have the app on your phone? We'll just scan the QR code on your phone, as I've said. It will give a summary of the information on the web page. So in summary, you don't need to use Towersure labels, but they do make things easier, and it gives the complete package. And the other thing to remember is that when the tower is dismantled, it releases that card to be used on another inspection. Because you link the tower label to the inspection, it will stay with it all the time that tower is erected. As soon as you put on the app that the tower has been dismantled, that tag is then released and you can use it again on another tower. If you try and use it on a tower that's not actually been dismantled, it will say that this tag is already in use on another tower. So we're going to use less plastic, which is always a good thing. So as I mentioned before, the app is just one half of the Towersure system. Everything that happens on the app feeds back to the central web console that you can have access to from any computer. So it's a simple one to use. I've been using it myself on a lot of training courses now, with the instructors are using the app themselves, and it means that I can have, again, proof that the towers were correctly built on any training course and on what sites they were when they were built. So as important for us as a training provider as it would be for you as a tower user or controller of people that use towers. So complete visibility. The people use this web console, we'll call them safety managers, have visibilities of all the towers on all the sites on all the projects that they have been given access to. So here's the question. What can you do with this information? Because they've been built in and inspected correctly across all the sites and projects, because you can actually see what's going on. It's not just your own staff who will have the visibility, but you can give access to your subcontractors and clients too. So there's a lot of possibilities here. Ultimately, it means for the first time, you can have complete confidence that towers on your sites are safe and you've got the documented evidence to prove it. So from the web console, you can see all the towers that are currently on your sites. So you can click on any particular tower to view photos or the details of the inspection that was carried out of that structure. You can also spot check it. Whatever that tower is in the country, wherever it is UK-wide at the moment, without leaving your office, double check it's been built and inspected correctly. Now, I said you need to put at least one photograph, but if you can put multiple photographs against the tower, so you can actually carry out an inspection via the photographs. And you can have different levels of authorization. You can allow the operative on site to do the inspection and sign it off, and you can view that, and you can still put a tick against do not use if you see something wrong. Or if you really want to control things, you can do it so they take photographs and then you can go through and check the photograph. I personally allow the operatives, or my instructors as it were, to complete the inspection correctly. And then it pops up on my console and I can take a look at the photographs. If I don't see anything that brings alarm bells for me, I can just allow it to continue. If I see something not right, I can click on a button that's on the console that says do not use, and it will instantly put that tower into a status of not to be used. So choosing to centralize inspections can make our life a lot easier. So the system has several inspection options available. As I've said, the tower operator can approve inspections. They can set up for the safety manager to verify before use, or you might want to go even further and centralize your tower inspections. Now the system will let you do all of that. That would mean that the operative on site wouldn't complete the inspection at all. They'd simply take photographs of all the completed structures, their components, before starting work, and wait for the safety manager to inspect it via the photograph and approve it remotely via the web console. You could do those remote inspections yourself internally, or even outsource them. The options there, although I do suspect most people will allow the operatives to do the inspections, but the options are there should you wish to control it at that level. And it may be an option you choose if you had a new work crew or people that you're not familiar with. You've got their qualifications on paper, but you haven't seen them work. So you may say, I'll verify your tower before you use it. It's there for you to control. That's the beauty of Towersure. So remember that creating and storing inspection records is a legal requirement. But we found that inspection records aren't always stored in a secure and retrievable manner. With this system, your safety managers have access to all the tower inspection records, so they'll never have any trouble laying their hands on one. They can search, download, email, and print records quickly and easily, and you know they'll always be complete, because the system will not allow an inspection to be completed unless every box is ticked. If a tower is inspected multiple times before it's dismantled, as we've said right at the start, it could require every 7 days or more frequently if you're in a high risk area. This record, the printed record or transportable record, would include those dates, those times, and the details of each inspection. So again, it's forming a complete paper trail, or electronic trail, should I say, behind every inspection. This document includes the information that's required in an inspection record under the work at height regulations. So you've got a system that ensures towers are always inspected properly and that everyone on site can easily verify its status before use. You know that inspection records are always created, always accurate, and always stored securely. And you've even capturing photographic evidence of each incident of a tower assembly. You've got a smarter way to check individual operators' competence, as it's tagged against each of the tower builds. And you can keep an eye on everything that's going on without leaving your desk. All of this, we think at PASMA, makes it easier than ever to keep everyone safe who works at height using towers. Apart from the fact that you can sleep easier, it will lead to improved behaviours, because everyone building and use a tower will know that you can see how they're building and working on towers. You already know that the work at height regulations do place a legal requirement on duty holders, including employers, subcontractors, and employees, for undertaking and recording inspections, with increasing financial penalties for contravention of these regulations, and that's before we think about the reputational risk. Towersure helps you and your subcontractors comply with more of the regulation than any other system we've seen for managing inspections and competence, and it's a robust, reliable, and environmentally friendly way to do it. We are proposing to work with any of you that wish to. Perhaps you might like to be involved in just a pilot scheme at your particular company. We can help you with 1 or 2 projects. It's simple to operate, and we'll work with your safety managers to set Towersure up and get it rolling should you wish to be included. As you can see there's more information on the PASMA website at pasma.co.uk/Towersure. So we really believe this is a game changer, because never before have we been able to combat one of the biggest issues around tower inspection, which is quite frankly incompetent inspection, because people are employed to get a job of work done, and the tower is a tool by which they get that job done, and they see it as a bump in the road to completing the job. They're not paid to build the tower, they're paid to finish the job. So quite often we find that tower assembly is get it up as quick as you can get it up. Hopefully you use most of the parts, put a tag on it to keep the safety man happy, and then strike it as quick as you can, get it back in the van and get to the next job. Unfortunately, history has proven that this general attitude in the workforce, not all workforces, but there are those out there, has led to accidents and incidents that are really sometimes life-changing. And at PASMA, we're trying to combat this. So Towersure will give you that transparency. It will give you the reassurance. And should there ever be a situation where you're being tested legally on your company's inspection of towers, you can confidently pass the information from each inspection onto any legal team, and they've got everything they need: photographs, checklists, the operator's name, their competencies, and you couldn't ask for more. I mean, hopefully this won't be seen as a big brother way of checking up on people, but seen as a tool by which we can ensure that everyone who uses access towers goes home safely at night. So that's basically the presentation as I wanted to run through with you. If you want more information, if you want to talk to us at PASMA about trying the system or even installing it in your company, then please give us a call. The PASMA website will be your first stop. You can look at it, you can download it, you can even have a little play around with it. But I would ask you to talk to the PASMA office, where they can put someone in touch with you that can run through it in detail. So I'm hoping you'll see the benefits of Towersure, and like myself and the others at PASMA, really see this as a game changer for tower safety across all sites and projects. So that's me done. I hope that was in some way interesting to listen to and thought-provoking.
Great, thank you for that, Steve. Really interesting webinar there. We have one question so far. I know George has joined us now. I think he was having some technical problems. So the first question is from Dawn. Is there any alternative for ladders/steps or any plans to incorporate them?
I'm glad you've asked that. As the Ladder Association is closely linked to PASMA, we hope to next year to bring out a very similar system, because as you can imagine, the framework for Towersure is already built, it's already working. The adding ladders and steps into that framework is our next project on the Ladder Association. So yes is the answer. It will be coming, but not quite yet.
Great, thank you. Sorry, I cut you off there, Steve. I do apologise.
No, it's all right.
You took a breath and I dived straight in.
Believe you me, I could talk for England on this one. It's I'm often told to people just wanted a simple yes or no, but
the next question is also from Dawn. I'm not sure you'll be able to, whether it's a simple answer, but what is the cost?
Currently, nothing. There you go. That's an easy one.
That was an easy one, and a very pleasant answer.
Well, down the line, depending on the take-up, depending on if someone wanted to have multi-level hierarchy console use, there may be licenses down the line. So we're not ruling that out, but currently right now, we see this as a safety critical issue and we want to get it installed. But for individuals, I don't see it ever really being a cost issue. For larger organisations that have got multiple projects, multiple sites, multiple managers, multiple operators, subcontractors, that as a scheme could end up with being a licensable product, but the benefits would still outweigh the cost.
Great, thank you. This is a long question. I hope I can do it justice. This is from Tony. During the webinar, it is noted that the assembler's PASMA certificate number was displayed. Is this app only available to people that can show training through PASMA, or can this app be used by competent people who have completed training through another provider? Likewise, can any manager view inspections that have been carried out, or would they need to have completed a manager's course? Sorry,
again, simple answer is yes, anyone can use it.
Oh, that was a nice. I thought it was going to be an equally long answer.
One of the benefits of Towersure is we see it as an opportunity for people to see who are building and inspecting their towers. Now, again, PASMA's not there to manage people's statutory duties. It's each individual employer's job to manage their own workforce. If they see that someone's assembling a tower or inspecting a tower who they know is not competent or not qualified to do so, then that information would come through. It doesn't allow you to put any other qualifications in it because it's a PASMA app, but if it hasn't got a PASMA training, then it would just not have it on there and say the person's name, but no details.
Great, thank you. We've got another couple of comments, or compliments rather than questions, and then if George has got sound, we'll see if George has got any questions. So thank you, really interesting and thought-provoking. Thank you, looks great. George, do we have you with sound, or are you still having technical issues? No, it looks like George is still having technical issues. Are there any more questions from anyone before we draw today's webinar for a close? Now is the time to ask them. Anything else you want to sign off with, Steve, and hopefully give those who want to ask a question time to pop it in the questions box?
Yeah, by all means, the PASMA website's there. We've got a lot of frequently asked questions on there, or you can contact PASMA at any time should you have any issues or any questions around mobile towers. We're an organisation who primarily are invested in the safe use of mobile towers, whether that be a manufacturer, trainers, hirers, users, you name it. We want people to use towers safely, go home every night to their loved ones, and there be no more falls from height. It's one of those things that we're invested in. So if you've got any questions, by all means, contact us through the website, and the right person will be put in touch with, because we've got people specialising in technical, training, manufacturing, general information. So contact us via the website, pasma.co.uk, and then the right person will be put in touch with you.
Great, thank you, Steve. We haven't had any more questions come in, so I'd just really like to again thank you for giving up your valuable time to present for the Scotland branch.
My pleasure.
Today, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. Unfortunately, George doesn't seem to have any sound, so we don't have any branch updates, but keep a lookout on the LinkedIn page for the next Scotland branch webinar. I'd like to let everybody know that the webinar is being recorded, as I said before, and it will be uploaded onto the IIRSM YouTube channel over the next couple of days, and your CPD attendance certificates will come out this time tomorrow. So I'd like to thank everybody again and wish everyone a good afternoon or a good evening wherever you are in the world, and hope to see you at the next Scotland branch webinar. Thank you, everyone.
Goodbye.
Good night.